in real life, when you have an active form of something, if I take my fist and I punch, I can see who I'm hitting on the other side, and the person that's being hit can see where that punch came from. Here with this passive form of bullying, hiding behind keyboards and things like that, while that person may still be punched, if you will, in a digital way, they don't necessarily see who's throwing that punch, but they still feel the same. They're still getting hit in the face and they're still receiving it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sip and Share. Sip and share. Let's go. Sip and share. Sip and share. Let's go. Let's get it.
And share.
Let's get it.
Sip and share.
All right, that's enough. That's enough.
You just ready to sip.
You getting the hook. You getting the hook.
You just ready to sip.
Speaking of sipping and sharing,
you're not the boss of me.
You're
not the boss of me. Sip and share.
Am sipping on some high quality H2O.
How many elements of hydrogen are in water, babe? How many hydrogens in water?
Whatever. Inside joke. How many is it for?
Wow. So I'm also sipping on water, you guys. We're keeping it clean, you guys. Just going into the fall, falling into the water and the rhythm before we start hibernating. You know what I mean?
You falling into the water?
Like drinking it.
Oh, okay.
Drinking it.
Didn't know if I need to save you or not.
Okay. Today on Sip and Share, we want to talk to you about a subject that has become quite serious amongst our children. As you know, we talked to you at the beginning of the month to let you know that September is Suicide Prevention, Education, and Awareness Month.
Yes.
Now, these two things don't always go hand in hand, but sometimes when it comes to incidents of suicide or even just self-harm, it is a result from bullying. So today we want to speak to you just a little bit about bullying, but I do want to place this note out there. We are not experts.
Absolutely.
We are speaking from our experiences and what knowledge that we have gathered.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
So I think I want to start out here because there's been this whole transition of the idea of a bully.
Okay.
Right? Back in maybe even previous our times, the bully was somebody that was really a figure that you just knew, right? Oh, that's the town bully. Oh, that's the street bully, Oh, let me avoid them or whatever. But now bullying can hide under so many things. Technology.
Yes.
Mannerisms. It's just, it seems like it has expanded.
Sure.
And the acknowledgement, because bullying used to be the more outright things, right? Like that's just, we know that was being a bully.
Yeah.
But now it's recognition of those things that maybe we didn't recognize back then that were also bullying.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I listen to you talk, I think, the active forms of bullying and the passive forms of bullying as well, because I think we saw a lot more active forms of bullying, someone waiting for someone after school or taking their lunch money, that kind of thing. And while some of those physical threats probably still occur today, I think that passive form of bullying is very prominent as well, especially with the immediate access to technology, things like that. Or if someone's on social media hiding behind phones and social media platforms and literally just saying outright ugly things about another person, that too is a form of bullying, because in real life, when you have an active form of something, if I take my fist and I punch, I can see who I'm hitting on the other side, and the person that's being hit can see where that punch came from. Here with this passive form of bullying, hiding behind keyboards and things like that, while that person may still be punched, if you will, in a digital way, they don't necessarily see who's throwing that punch, but they still feel the same. They're still getting hit in the face, and they're still receiving it. And the thing about a black eye or something like that from physical bullying, at some point it goes away and it heals, whatnot. But this passive form of bullying with online technology, it can sit with somebody for a very, very long time. Why? Because they can go back and look at it over and over and over and over again, and it feels like getting punched every single time.
Yeah. And so I get you on the fact that, like cyberbullying is something that is everlasting, because it's in the atmosphere unless the person deleted it. But more often than not, somebody took a screenshot and shared and all this, that, and the other, right? But I also feel like the physical bullying, when that black eye heals, it still leaves that emotional wound, right? I agree. Yeah. So I think what we don't know when it comes to bullying, we're not recognizing the emotional and mental wounds that we're placing upon others, right? I remember when I was growing up, I'm going to talk about bystanders for a minute.
Okay.
A bystander is someone who witnesses bullying, but maybe not act. Mm-hmm. Okay. And some people do act. So I remember growing up, I think I was either 5th or 6th grade. Okay. And there were these two girls. One girl was slightly larger, like height-wise, per se. And then the other one was a little shorter, a little skinnier, things like that. And I remember being outside for break, recess, and she said, tie my shoes. And I was like, man, dang. And it was just how she spoke to her, just telling her to do that. It was like degrading. I could tell it was like so degrading. And I feel bad to this day. This is something, like I told y'all, here I sit as a 44-year-old woman, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I still remember this incident. And it hurts me, because I wasn't the type of person to be like, you tie your own shoes. Come on, let's go, to the other girl. So did you ever witness anything like that, or can you recall something?
Yeah, I can't recall anything like that right now anyway, but I would imagine at some point in everyone's lives, especially back then, we didn't know what normal was. I think at some point, bullying was probably common back then. Not to say it was right, but I think it was so common. It's like, well, who's the strongest, biggest person, in elementary school, where they're always going to be the one that, essentially rules, right? And nobody wanted to test that person or whatever it may be. So if somebody was messing with somebody else, then, at that point in time, it was probably like, the best thing for me to do is just stay out of it so I don't get beat up, those kind of things. Obviously, back then, with the lack of fully developed brains that we had at that point in time, we acted in the best way that we knew how, or did not act in the best way we should have, because of the limited knowledge that we had back then. But now today, I think everybody, whether you're young, middle age, or a little more senior, I think everybody has the knowledge that they need today to know what right looks like and what not so right looks like. And we know, because inherently I think we have that instinct to go now, like, hey, no, that's not right, because we keep getting this education out there in forums like these to say this is wrong. And so the more we actually educate people and everyone acknowledges what wrong looks like, the more that I think collectively we all will act to make sure that we step up to prevent things like that from happening. Because you mentioned the term bystander. At that point in time, we were probably bystanders in some form of fashion. And then you have the term innocent bystanders, right? So I think sometimes, we look at it and say we thought we were just innocent bystanders, and sometimes we get negatively impacted as well. But, I think if you are not doing something, then you are just as responsible if you watch someone that maybe be bullied, whether it's, in person, physically or online at some point in time, I think we all now inherently have that right today with the education that we have today.
Yeah. And so I you know, when I started this out, I talked about how this is something that has affected a lot of our children. But bullying can also affect adults, you know, people like that. So I don't want to say that a bullying is specific to a certain age group. I was just focusing on the fact that it has transitioned since I was younger, and I see so many kids, and a big there has been a connection tied to those kids who are bullied, not wanting to go to school, those kids causing harm to themselves, and some of those kids ultimately paying the price of death because they had been bullied. But I don't want to dismiss that bullying does take place also in workplaces, in friend groups, things like that. The reason I brought up the bystander, y'all, is because you may be raising a child, or you may be a person yourself who wants to be upright and upstanding, and you are not the bully. But like my husband said, it is our job that we do our due diligence to offer a helping hand to those who may seem weaker at a particular point in time. So I just want to encourage you, parents, teach your children to step up for others when necessary. And just as adults, if you see something, do something, call somebody, you know, and make sure that we're, you know, just protecting those individuals. And, you know, sometimes people shoo it off. Those people who are the victims of bullying, they may shoo it off like, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm fine. But you keep hitting somebody with something, whether physically hitting, emotionally, and those emotional hits, they hurt so bad, right? And so if you keep hitting people that way, you're going to break them down. So I think we also need to address the bullies. How would you address somebody out there who may say, I sound like I might be the bully. I'm talking to people certain ways. I'm degrading people. I'm taking things from people. What would you say?
So, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was actually going to be my next point, and you teed it up nicely. So I had 3 points just while I was listening to you talk. The first one is hurt people hurt people. I know that you've heard that phrase before. And again, this is not to come to the rescue of anyone who thinks they may be bullying, but at some point too, we have to figure out, why is this person doing X, Y, and Z? Maybe there's something going on, or maybe they're being bullied by an adult, or by a parent, or by a parent, or whatever it may be. So got to peel the layers of the onion back a little bit, and we need to talk to those people that think they may be bullying someone, or someone you think may be a bully, and let's try to figure out what's wrong with that person, because if you take care of those things at the root, then they won't have an impact on someone else down the road.
They won't produce fruit.
That's right. If you take care of it at the root, they won't produce fruit. I like that. The second one is really, you kind of hinted towards it before, but you've probably heard this phrase in a lot of environments: see something, say something. And bottom line is, don't just stand there, do something, right? So if you see something and it looks out of place, make sure you say something. And if you can, do something. Obviously, we're not asking anyone else to put themselves in any danger by any means, but see something, say something. Maybe you can call someone, ask for help, whatever it may be. And in a culture today where we feel like everything that we do is snitching, if you see someone that's getting hurt, being hurt, you have a duty to see something, say something. And then lastly, for me, it's really more so just be kind to everybody, right? If everyone just tries their best to be kind to everyone, then we could probably reduce some of the issues that we're having today when it comes to bullying.
Yeah. And it goes back to the old saying, treat others like you would want to be treated, right?
Absolutely.
As I mentioned before, September is Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. And we just want you guys to take note of some of the things, such as bullying. Of course, there are other mental health issues, other external circumstances that could cause someone to self-harm or to die by suicide. But we wanted to shed a light on bullying today because we feel like through kindness, it will help so many people with the things that they're going through.
That's right.
And it's not You know, you don't have to spend money on kindness, y'all.
That's right.
Kindness
It's
is
free.
right in there. It's free. It's free.
It's free 99.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, I'm going to be kind to my lovely bride.
Yes.
And I'm going to give her a kiss.
Thank y'all for joining us today for
Sip and share. Sip, and share. Let's go.